Hello guys and welcome back. My name is King Trip D and I'm tonight joined with my dual-caster friend, BAKERCATFACE. Nah.
Hello.
Hello. Thankfully this time I am not casting a solo queue bronze match like the last two videos. I've actually managed to get myself into a gold 5, not gold 5, gold 1, plat 5, rank 5s match. So this will be a much more coordinated team game, more cohesive, probably better communication, a lot more team fighting and better playstyle. Unfortunately with spectator mode we can't see the band champions as well as who picked what, but I managed to figure out either way. On blue team the bands were Yasuo, Kassadin and Lulu, whereas on purple team it was LeBlanc, Vi and Elise. And in terms of the picks, what do we see a Teemo?
Yeah.
Teemo, okay, do you have anything about the Teemo? I've seen it once in competitive play, and that was when Cloud9 run it. High was using him in the mid lane, so what do you reckon Kiatso running Teemo? What do you think of that, Matt?
I'm not too sure. I think it just might be something fun that he wants to play, or just something that they want to use against Ziggs. I mean, I've not seen the matchup Ziggs versus Teemo, but it could kind of make sense because Ziggs will lose his passive. Like, you can throw a bomb out and then he's passive and throw another bomb out. But if Teemo gets his blind out in time, then he's going to meditate a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It would be quite interesting. Like, I think it might just be a dueling champion for the lane, but outside team fights, Teemo's just going to be Teemo and just not be that impactful with that shroom giving him vision.
Do you reckon with having Teemo in the mid lane though, with the shroom build up, you would have sort of a lot of map pressure towards dragon area come dragon time, and let's say go postpones to mid game roughly around the 21-22 minute mark. Do you reckon you would see Teemo probably move to top lane and be the split push champion, or would he stay around and team fight? Because with the Amumu pick that Resna is running, as well as Thresh and the Olaf, which is what Beast Kayle Masters are running, it seems like more of a team fight team. How does Teemo fit into this team comp? Do you reckon it's just a miscommunication pick, or is it a strategy they're running, having him split push probably?
I mean, it could just be like, because Amumu is such a difficult early game jungler, it could just be like they want to have Teemo to secure a safe early game, just as one point. But as your earlier question, I do see Teemo probably going out and just split pushing, since the Olaf is running Ignite Flash, I believe it was, but he hasn't loaded up for me yet. So he won't be having teleport and being much of a presence. But I definitely see Teemo just being able to control the early game for them, allow Mumu to have a safe jungle and just maybe create that first 1 or 2 dragon.
Yeah. And now that's just looking at Kayle Masters team comp, but if you do look at AGL as well, they're how do you think they would compete? You've got a Wukong and a Shyvana. That's usually with Wukong using his decoy, Shyvana Dragon Descent. They can probably get to Vayne, and Teemo who'll be in the backline with the Nami using her ultimate. Do you reckon AGL consider team fighting? Like, looking at the Teemo pick, knowing that Teemo isn't really, and we just said he could be split pushing this game. And do you reckon AGL will be like, okay, we might have to leave Teemo in top lane, but we have to team fight instead? Do you think that's probably something they'll consider doing?
Yeah, I mean, for them, I'd suggest that they try to control the early game, because if they do this, and that completely shuts down their team comp with Amumu being behind, Teemo being behind, Vayne being behind, and just try and get into the team fight phase before Teemo can get a lot of shrooms up as well. Because the earlier the Kayle Masters 420 take over the map, the more shrooms it's going to be, and the more difficult it will be for them to engage. And so being more of a team fight comp with the Shyvana, Wukong, Nami, and Ziggs, and then just the finisher with Jinx, it just makes them a very, very good AoE and execution team. So I would definitely say that they want to be as aggressive as possible in this early game and deny them the control from that Teemo pick.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Looking at it too, though, do you reckon there'll be any level 1 sort of aggressions?
Oh, I mean, Wukong. I mean, says that Nami double, like, that always helps. There's a lot of damage, actually, from Ziggs, level 1, just with the bomb and his passive. Like, that's going to half health anyone. I see that being more of a early game level 1 from AGL, but whether or not they'll take it, I don't know. It's a very risky call.
Yeah.
It's not a one-sided thing. Like 60-40, just due to the damage and the Nami bubble.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say it would be a slow-paced game, or would you think with Wukong, knowing that Amumu, he doesn't really gank early. He's one champion who, yes, he can gank level 3 with his bandage toss, but he's better off going to level 6, getting Curse of the Sad Mummy ultimate, and ganking around then. Do you think the human man, AGL, will consider abusing that and actually ganking early, or maybe even try to invade, deny Resnar from building up levels to try and get him lead, and put him behind, like how you said earlier, try to get the early advantage? Would that be a possible suggestion or play?
I mean, I see Wukong being very effective in the mid lane and the and invading, like just in terms of like where he could get the most out of it. Ganking bot lane is always going to be difficult just due to the fact that there's a Vayne and a Nami, a Thresh. Nami's on the other team. Like that's going to be a difficult lane to gank, and then top lane it's Olaf, and Shyvana has no CC whatsoever, so Olaf doesn't even need to pop his ult and be afraid of knockups and all that. So
yeah.
I would say that he needs to gank mid lane, or he needs to invade the jungle and just put a movement behind.
Yep. Now, lastly, before we actually start the game, as you can see, Mumu's starting on blue buff, which is usually a staple start, since he has a lot of mana issues. And Wukong starting on blue start will get a quicker clear using bot lane's assistance. With that start, how Mumu's starting on blue, would this help actually Kayle Masters with their bot lane, because now Vayne and Thresh were able to get a few extra creeps early, and through that they could sort of hit level 2. Do you think there'll be a level 2 engagement coming straight if they can hit level 2 beforehand? As you can tell, like they've already gotten the minion advantage.
I would be surprised if there's a kill, but I definitely think they can take control of the lane and just make the early game a lot easier on Vayne, as Vayne is notoriously known for just having that weak early game, but then just transitioning into this absolute beast.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in top lane, Shyvana and Olaf sort of like trading off, slapping each other in the face. Olaf top lane, he's been played a lot in jungle recently and not seen much in top lane. This is probably one of the few times we've seen him in top lane. How does he fare compared to the jungle?
Like, in terms of the jungle, like, he's got a very good tier speed.
Meanwhile, sorry to interrupt though, Mumu does manage to get a gank onto Ziggs with bandage toss, burning Ziggs' flash, and the Nami DCs. This is actually a pretty unfortunate thing for AGL. Lastly, Olaf and Shyvana still gone back and forth. Exertion manages to get a hook onto Chomped, and Animosity doing a little trade damage, but he gets hurt a lot back. They do burn the barrier on Chomped, and, well, the DC from Nami. I think the human man will have to stay in bot lane until he does reconnect, which he just does.
That's a lot of lane pressure that Kayle Masters has now gotten just from the Nami DC, and that's going to put like Jinx just in a sort of precarious position where she wants to CS, but she's going to be more afraid of that threshold because it's just more of a kill potential.
Yeah. Back into the Olaf Shyvana's. Like, sorry about cutting you off beforehand. There was just a lot of engagements happening. We notice Olaf is maxing his E first, the true damage. Yeah. Would that help in the lane? Like, and back to like, why lane and not jungle?
Well, I've known Olaf to max both. Like most preferring duels, the others. Oh.
Exertion managed to land the hook onto Chomp. There was a max range hook and lands a flare as well, but good chompers from Chomped. Unfortunately, he doesn't even have to burn flash, so he can just walk away because Valkyrie was around the corner to get the heal. Meanwhile, Teemo was going aggressive onto I'm Duty, and the human going for the gank just to help him out. Teemo having to flash, so Kiatsu getting away safely. But without that flash, do you reckon like now Teemo should be more defensive, knowing that he can easily be camped and be possibly free kill now?
Yeah, I mean, like this is like what Wukong wants to do. I mean, unfortunately, he had to be bottom for a little while just to make sure Jinx didn't get dived or anything. But Wukong
Exertion, landing a hook onto Valkyrie, but it's just a little poke down. I think they don't want to abuse that Valkyrie being level 2 behind Nami. Poor Nami. Yeah, so back as we were saying about the monkey.
Yeah, I just think that like Wukong unfortunately had to be bottom just to cover for that Jinx while Nami has CC. But he is able to be more effective down in that mid lane. It looks like Nami is getting condemned against the wall, but just missing, and Jinx is getting so low.
Yeah, I think Chomp would have to back off right now. Chomp is sitting though on 900 golds. We'll probably actually get a Vampiric Scepter and probably a couple potions just to help sustain the lane. They're not going to be able to win in terms of damage because now the lane's gone in favor of Kayle Masters due to the DC. So she does buy the Vampiric Scepter. It's going to be sustain lane. Whereas Vayne, who is ahead by 10 CS, is on 1.2k gold. Do you see an early rush Cutlass? A good hook from Exertion. They're going for the tower dive. Lands the flare. Unfortunately, has to flash away from tower. But Animosity, who took no tower damage for a few of those shots, was able to condemn Valkyrie into the wall and pick up the first blood kill. So not only is he a CS lead, but now he's got on first blood. The early lane of Vayne and Shyvana going aggressive on top lane, but so is the human ganking onto Animosity, forcing Animosity to burn both flash and barrier. Does get away though with the lantern to safety. Meanwhile on top lane, Resolve had Dragon descented onto Singed or GDFO and didn't really pick up much. So the fight's all round.
That was really good tower juggling from the Vayne and Thresh. Thresh taking the second last shot before he was going to die, and then giving the tower aggro to Vayne, but giving her just enough time to be able to kill the Nami.
Yeah, and with how we said Vayne does have like sort of an early landing problem with the DC. Now that went throughout the window, and Vayne was able to pick up early CS, pick up a kill. Now has a Cutlass compared to the to Jinx's Vampiric Scepter. Do we have to assume that the human will have to camp bot lane just to help Chomp and Valkyrie come back, or it's pretty much a lost cause for bot lane? Vayne has pretty much won. What do you reckon there?
Well, it's a lot. Wukong needs to be bottom. That's the unfortunate thing. And while it does mean there's going to be Dragon Control, he also doesn't have secure ganks right now. Without him being 6 and Nami being 6 as well, will also help a lot with just being able to help Jinx catch back up. Because right now they're just so far behind.
Yeah, but Exertion and Animosity going aggressive onto Chomp. Exertion missing the hook, but does land the flay. It allowed Animosity to condemn Jinx into the wall. They managed to do a lot of harass, but didn't really pick the kill. The missed hook would have probably secured the kill had he landed onto Chomp. And meanwhile, Resna coming in for the mid lane, lands the bandages toss onto Armduty as well as the Santomami. Kiatsu, who's just standing around, places a shroom under the Ziggs and picks up the kill. So that's a dead Ziggs. Meanwhile, Animosity going incredibly aggressive onto Chomp, trying to do his Vayne mechanic plays, uses his ultimate and stealth, but Cat takes a lantern to safety, dodging the Jinx Super Mega Death Rocket. Jinx might have to back up. And a lot of fights all around. That was... Yeah, the communication between Exertion and Animosity is top notch, and despite actually Animosity being the sub of the team, meanwhile Resolve does Dragon Descent onto Singed, but it's taking a lot of damage thanks to the maxed E from Singed on true damage. I think this is just a typical top lane matchup. Singed and Resolve taken quite low. Meanwhile, Kiatsu coming in from behind, trying to get on Valkyrie, taking a lot of damage. Whereas Resna trying to hop onto the human, but dies for it. Jumps back to the top lane, and GDFO managed to pick up the kill onto Resolve with the Ignite. Meanwhile, Ziggs is trying to go onto Kiatsu, throws the bouncing bomb, misses, and his ultimate doesn't really pick up the kill. Singe GDFO dying to minions, and actually Ziggs managed to pick up the kill with another bouncing bomb. So was that a massive throw that Kayle Masters shouldn't have, like that?
Minions OP, man.
Yeah, Minions OP.
Minions OP.
They didn't want their Dragon Lord to go in vain. They didn't want her to be embarrassed. So she does pick up the kill thanks to Minions. And Well, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I think Kayle Masters stayed a bit too long around Dragon Pit and got caught out for it and died for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a well played catching the Nami out, but it just left Amumu all by himself, and it. Ziggs came around from the corner and locked him through the game.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Rezanai is getting really angry and initiates onto Amduli with bandit tossed into Curse's Sad Mummy. And Kiatsu just standing around shrooming right underneath him. That's a really deadly combination. The chain stun with the shroom popping onto him. I think Wukong was supposed to camp mid lane, but I think Rezanai's doing a better job of it because bot lane was so heavy favoured for Kayle Masters that Wukong had to spend time there. Was that the whole strategy of Kayle Masters? Like, they communicated that well?
Yep. And, like, just the dragon fight, I mean, Amumu was left down in the bot lane by himself, dealing with both Jinx and Wukong, and I think also, I think it was just those two. He was not able to actually get close or even be able to do enough damage to Jinx, and they just ended up killing him. And then Ziggs coming around from the corner just from his behind the blue buff.
Yep. Exertion landing the hook onto Valkyrie, still level 5, lands a great flares while using the box just to keep Valkyries locked up in their little area, and Vayne managed to condemn him through. Meanwhile, Resolve and Amduli engaging on a team mode with Dragon's Descent and the Mega Inferno Bomb. Rezanai going back in onto Resolve, bandage rushing, but is actually thinking twice because Super Mega Death Arc came in for a little assistance. All this is happening. Kiatsu is a bit behind because he did have to flash away from the engage. I'm Human decoying in, trying to pick up little cheeky kills because his Cyclone is up. Meanwhile, back to bottom, Exertion landing another great hook onto Chomped. The death sentence has been top notch, and I'm Human tower diving for the Kiatsu does die though to the shrooms and Ignite, so fights going everywhere. Lots of I think really greedy aggressive plays coming from AGL wanting the Teemo dead, and he cost him his life though by getting the kill. Is that worth for AGL or worth for Kayle Masters?
Well, I mean, what's happening right now is that like just from that tower there that Ziggs got, it allows him to get map pressure. It would less map for what's their name, Kayle Masters to control. The less shrooms that there's most likely going to be, and the more condensed that they're going to be. So it just means that they're going to be less effective and like have less vision around the map. So as long as AGL can keep putting map pressure onto Kayle Masters, then they should be alright.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And whilst all that happening, Singe the GDFO managed to pick up the top tower. Now Exerion, he's been spot on with those death sentences, landing hook after hook after hook. Managed to get 3 kills for Vayne. Coming in towards mid game, because I think soon enough, in about 2 to 3 minutes, we'll see them gripping up. Would the death sentences from Exerion, would they be a massive massive play, or like the cause of a win, team fight, or a loss, in your opinion?
Well, I definitely think that those mismanaged shots from Rezanai, the Mumu. I definitely think that those death sentences will help. He wants to be grabbing onto the Ziggs or Nami or even Jinx if possible. Because dragging Wukong or Shyvana is just going to leave him in big trouble.
Meanwhile, in bot lane, Valkyrie playing bait on for Animosity, making Animosity coming good for the aggression. Meanwhile, the Human was coming from behind for a lane gank, and they all managed to coordinate a great gank onto Animosity. Unfortunately, Valkyrie picking up the kill there would have been better on Chomped or even the Human himself for the snowball. But once Animosity is down for the count, there is no ADC. They're all pinged for Dragon. They're going on to Dragon right now. Rezanai's a bit behind. He's just at mid lane, so this will be a free Dragon for AGL. Good play for them. Good bait from Valkyrie to begin with. Stood on a ward that the trinket that Animosity placed down, and stood there waiting for Animosity to hit him. Was that just a lack of vision and also greed coming from Animosity, who was 3-0, so he did give up a killing spree gold right there?
Well, I think it was just map pressure was just given away once the Vayne died. I mean, and the gold advantage just helped also, where unfortunately it did go to the Nami. But with Vayne dying, it did allow them to take Dragon. And Amumu was unfortunately just out of position coming back from the base, run all the way down. And Thresh was split off from down in the bot lane, and Timo was the only one who could actually be there, but was just being zoned out really effectively and well by the Nami and the Ziggs and the Jinx.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a little greed play from Animosity unfortunately cost them both not only Killing Spree gold, but a dragon. So in terms of global gold, AGL were about 3 to 4k behind, but now it's down to 2k thanks to the objectives of Middle Tower, the Killing Spree gold shot down onto Animosity as well as the dragon. And I think the next focus, probably they're going to try to extend laning phase. I don't see any team considering grouping up in the near future, maybe not until one of the bottom towers goes down.
Yeah, I mean, majority of the action, like, whether both teams want to be focusing down in the bot lane, they need to shut down the Vayne or they need to...
Meanwhile, in mid lane, the human manages to decoy in and jumps onto Kiatsu using the Cyclone. Kiatsu taking quite a lot. I think he flashed... No, he did not flash away. He just simply pressed W and walked away, but it was not enough. The human flash to continue with the Cyclone. Resonate coming for the Kane, pick up the kill. Meanwhile, on top lane, Resolve tower diving this Olaf with Dragon Descent, doing a lot of damage with just simply a Giant Spout, Chain Vest, as well as the Cutlass. Lots of fights happening around. It's down to 1k gold lead deficit for AGL. Kiatsu, assuming that his shrooms would give him enough vision, was able to maybe pushed up too far, and that's what the human used to his advantage, just ganked him properly. And now Resolve does take up the top lane, but he's extremely low, and Resonate around the corner trying to get in the little sneaky kill. Does land the ultimate onto Resolve, will be able to pick up the kill due to his tears. So it's a good kill for Resonate. Unfortunately, they do lose a top lane objective, and I think at the moment objective for a kill is much more important, especially since you stated before, the whole Teemo pick. If they don't have the towers and AGL are managed to get more global map pressure, the Teemo pick is sort of negligent, don't you think? Unfortunately, back in bot lane though, Exertion managed to walk into and flay the Jinx and Nami into the box and lands a good hook onto Chomped, and meanwhile Vayne was just able to shred him down. Although Exertion picks up the kill for himself, I don't think he wants to get Vayne fed anymore. He needs some of that money. He wants to be rich.
Up the Jinx at the last second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that right now, in a top lane, Shyvana is just a better duelist compared to Singed, and that enables them to have some top lane pressure. And the fact that mid lane is Ziggs just being stronger than a Teemo in like a pushing power compared to the Teemo, and bot lane is the only one struggling.
Yep, the human trying to do a little come in from behind to jump on Kiatsu, although walks into a sad mummy who just wanted to give him a hug. Didn't really work out, so he does disengage thanks to I'm Dolly using the satchel charge. As well as throwing those bouncing bombs, they're landing onto Animosity. Animosity's chugging down quite less half health, having to back. So yeah, with the whole Kayle Masters not really winning in the objectives. They've got only 2 towers, but they've lost the middle and a top lane. You mentioned this earlier, how Teemo, they want to sort of win the towers just to get map pressure with the shrooms. As you can see, the shroom in the Tri-Brush catching results, so he's forced to Dragon Descent away. Do you reckon Kayle Masters should group up right now? And Exertion landing a maxed range death sentence onto Chomp, throws out the lantern just so Animosity can come into the fight. Great play by Exertion. Meanwhile, they're chasing down onto Valkyrie, who's really low. Animosity extremely fit. The human coming for a counter gank does decoy and dash onto Vayne, but another amazing death sentence from Exertion.
Those Vayne mechanics, I mean, that was very unfortunate for the Wukong coming into the fight at a late point when it was just going to end up being a 2v1, and a nice thresh hook to make sure that he didn't get a crushing blow down onto the Vayne.
Yeah.
Very nice play from the Thresh as well, with the lantern and the hook onto the, I believe it was the Jinx. Yeah,
so on Chomp, the death sentence engage onto Chomp, and he threw out the lantern so Vayne comes into it. It was a really well placed, and it was actually a max ranged hook. Max range death sentence, it was over the wall, and oddly enough, AGL knew he was there, because Chomp threw out the zap, it hit him, but while he's doing the animation for zap, he's actually immobile for like a split second, 0.5 of a second. during that 0.5 a second, that's when Exertion threw out Death Sentence, and it landed. Meanwhile, still back in bot lane, Exertion landing another Death Sentence on Valkyrie. Animosity trying to do as much damage as he can. He manages to tumble flash away. Unfortunately, great zap from Chomp, picking up the kill onto Animosity. That's a shutdown gold again for Chomp. This time not going to Nami, but instead to Chomp. But great mechanical play for Animosity. He was able to tumble, dodge, and even flash the moment Wukong came in. Unfortunately, they're going a bit of aggressive, and Resonant hiding in the brush came in for a little surprise. Gave him a good hug, but the human able to survive long enough. And amazing Mega Inferno Bomb from I'm Dooley, actually doing a lot of damage. I don't think they anticipated the Ziggs coming around.
No, I mean, that's just Ziggs having that global pressure with his ulti, and also the Jinx ulti as well. Her, what's it called? I believe it's called the Super Mega Death Rocket.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of AoE damage, and they were all pumped up. And unfortunately, just with them all being short range, the Teemo, the Thresh, and the Amumu, they're all very clumped together, and it just allowed like a lot of damage coming from the Super Mega Death Rocket and the
Mega Inferno Bomb.
Yeah, Mega Inferno Bomb.
Yeah, I don't think they anticipated to do that much burst AoE damage, but Ziggs, I'm Dooley is running the Rabadon's Athenes. Animosity finding another Valkyrie. He's just all over the place right now. Attack moving in between each shot. Was able to sidestep the bubble from Nami. Picking up another kill, and that's I presume the ward in the brush near Dragon Pit, knowing that that Valkyrie was around the corner. So well played from Animosity. He's getting those Vayne mechanics. What else do you expect from a Diamond player anyway?
I mean, it's just Vayne snowballing ahead right now. And oh, nice flash from Teemo just at the very last second there.
Just to dodge the Mega Phantom. I'm not really impressed with the Teemo pick, to be honest. I don't think Kayle Masters were able to use Teemo to its massive effect. AGL probably knowing exactly what you said, how they needed the early towers just so Teemo can be extremely effective with the shroom placements. They're just playing really well. AGL knowing how to do. Unfortunately, their bot lane is a bit weak compared to Animosity Exerion combo, but that was probably due to Nami DC. Had Nami not DC'd, do you reckon it would have been a different story? Could it have been a different situation entirely in bot lane?
I think that the Vayne might be like Vayne is playing very well. Animosity playing this Vayne is at the moment very, very strong, and so mechanically I do see him as being able to get this far. But had Nami been there, I think it just would have been a bit slower. Yeah,
so maybe not as big of a snowball, probably.
It's just the lane pressure was gone, and Jinx is far behind.
Meanwhile, Kiatsu is going up top lane to stop the Shyvana from split pushing. Exerting landing another death sentence onto Valkyrie. Valkyrie is one alone, but lands a great tidal wave onto Singed and Resonance, delaying him a bit. Unfortunately, will die for him. Meanwhile, Chomp is sort of isolated on his own. Gets picked up from the Amumu ultimate. And Wukong, I think, DC'd because he just stood there looking pretty for a good couple seconds. Dooley trying to do his best to turn that fight around. Fortunately, doesn't really pick up a kill using his Mega Inferno Bomb. And Exertion flash flying onto the Resolve, but unfortunately does dies for it. But Resolve dying as well to Animosity. And Kiatsu going really aggressive, tower diving this. He will be able to pick up the kill. No, he doesn't. Actually, yes, he does. Poison too strong. He does die for it though, and it did DC for the humans. So unfortunately for AGL, he DCs in the middle of the fight. That's 2 DCs in a row. This is ranked 5s. Do you reckon Riot should implement a pause in ranked 5s, or because it's only in the draft mode at the moment, tournament draft?
Absolutely, like it's such a big deal. Like ranked 5s. I mean, you're assuming that there is communication, and like there's not going to be any sort of problems with both teams. I mean, those do it a bit differently just because there are a lot of...
Meanwhile, Animosity is sort of trying to steal the blue buff. Valkyrie managed to come and catching him, but chomped from behind. Lands a zap onto Animosity, and it was actually a good bubble from Valkyrie, despite Animosity using his mechanics probably to the best potential he could. Couldn't really sidestep the bubble this time. So good play by Red Team. The vision around blue buff, picking up a free kill. But yeah, so should Riot implement a pause strategy for rank 5? Because right now we've witnessed 2 DCs that have heavily snowballed Kayle Masters. One, it allowed Vayne have the early lane, and Trump being caught out of position, surrounded by both Exerion and Kiatsu, and Kiatsu doing a lot of damage with the Rabadon's Lichbane combo. Just simply a blinding dart with an auto attack that has a toxic shot enabled on it, doing immense amount of damage. That literally half, 3/4 health chomped. Yeah, so all around. So back to the thing: should they implement it or not?
Yeah, honestly, I'm all for it. I mean, it's a tournament draft setting, or almost a tournament draft setting for rank 5, and you're playing with 4 other teammates, and you would assume that you either know them or you just have that neutral respect for both teams being on the cause and there'd be no problem.
Yeah. You know, Animosity is overextending a little bit too much, trying to get a bit of aggressive. Does get Resolve to Dragon Descent onto him, having to flash, tumble away, and Resolve taking a lot of tower, but I'm Dooley picking up the kill onto Animosity with his simple bouncing bomb. Throws a satchel charge just to get Singed away for a bit. Singed for popping the ultimate, but it's not enough. Could not get anything onto Trump, and Trump, who was untouched throughout the whole fight, was able to pick up a double kill, both on Singed as well as on Exerion. Animosity was a bit too aggressive, I believe. His position was way too aggressive, and a good bubble tidal wave from Nami was able to get the exam, and Kiatsu trying his best to sort of protect this tower, but you can't 1v5. And that's a free tower as well as another kill for AGR. Trump going really aggressive onto Resonant, trying to zone him out so he can get him the inhibitor. And when they back off, with Animosity coming in, do you reckon they might go for a Baron? Or just back off and probably push out either bot lane and top lane?
Honestly, oh wow, that's perfect timing with the Dragon respawn. Yeah, they're going to go for Dragon, definitely here, right now. Unfortunately, right now, with the fact that even though Kayle Masters have a Bane that is very far ahead, and definitely compared to Jinx.
Chomped walking down through him. Teemo Shroom does get condemned by Animosity. It's a great mechanics for Animosity. Pick up a free kill on Jinx, and I think AJ could have probably ran straight for the Dragon. Unfortunately, they don't get the Dragon. They do have the ward on it, so they will get the timer for it. And Kayle Masters picking up the Dragon back and actually having a 2k gold lead despite losing. Being 1 tower down as well as the inhibitor down, but I think those 5 kills are actually in their favor, giving them a 2k gold lead right now, as well as an extra dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, that was the only Teemo Shroom in the bottom hand jungle, and the Jinx stepped on it.
Yep, so the one Shroom that Teemo was only able to place, being behind, was able to get them not only a free kill, and it was actually a shutdown gold as well, because Vayne picking up a shutdown gold onto Chomped, and that Shroom from Kiatsu not only gives him that, but as well as a dragon. And now they're all pinging for Resolve. Resolve slightly pushed out, no wards in his top jungle, having to Dragon Descent away. We'll get away safely, not going to take too much damage. But with the warding placement right now, Kayle Masters have pretty much all of AGL's red area warded, and same thing from AGL. They've got all of Kayle Masters' red area warded. Maybe one team was preparing for the dragon, and that's what they did. They warded on their way, exiting, going to dragon. Resolve walking into brush. They're like a vision. They don't know where the hell Kayle Master is, and Exerion flashing, flaying onto Resolve. But Resolve's so tanky, he isn't dying too quickly. Meanwhile, the human was able to get into the backline, throws out the Cyclone as well as a tidal wave from Valkyrie, able to pick the kill on both Resona, Exerion, and Kiatsu, and Chomped not really taking too much damage on. Again, no one's focusing the Jinx. Jinx going complete free mode, was able to pick up a kill as well onto Singed GD4, who was chasing I'm Dooley. And once they took off quick with the human, incredible counter initiation with the Cyclone and Decoy as well as a tidal wave from Nami, picked up onto Resona. Chomped, no one's focusing him. Should they consider focusing Jinx first, get her to die first before anything else? Or is it just AGL's amazing peel and teamfight coordination just don't allow anyone to get on Chomped at all?
I think it was, like, it mainly inherited the fact that Animosity was late to the teamfight, and also just due to the fact that they, Kayle Masters don't exactly have a strong team to protect the Bane. Like, all they've got is a Thresh and the Amumu ult, and then it's just long cooldowns after that. And that's something, unfortunately, that's happening with the Teemo pick, where they don't have enough utility in team fights that most AP carries bring. But I honestly feel that if Vayne was not late for that team fight and they were able to protect Vayne a little bit more, then they don't need to worry about the Jinx. In that team fight, however, Jinx ripped apart the Olaf, ripped apart the Amumu, and Vayne was not there to...
But Vayne does catch out of 3 Jinx as well, and in terms of 1v1, clearly Vayne were able to defeat a Jinx without any problem at all. Oh yeah, so I genuinely felt like they should probably protect Vayne had she been there early. The human, though, going a bit aggressive onto Exern. There's a tidal wave from Nani and a satchel charge onto Animosity. Does knock Animosity into the brush, but now both Imduli and Animosity fighting on Imduli and Valkyrie fighting Animosity 2v1. Meanwhile, the human as well as Resolve are fighting on Exerion. They quickly pick up the kill on Exerion and then all jump onto the Vayne, pick up the kill on Animosity. And now they're all just bum rushing bot lane. This should probably be a free bot tower for AGL because Kiatu was in top lane, Resna was in mid lane. They both just backed. Homeguard activating though, so they should be able to get there in time. But I think this should be a free tower for AGL. Resolve Dragon Standing, jumping onto Kiatu, picking up the quick kill onto Teemo. Meanwhile, the human who didn't use his ultimate beforehand uses it right now, gets Resna really, really low, but Singed, there's a low Valkyrie, a low Ziggs, and Resna with a great bandit toss onto Resolve, picks up the kill, and Singed fighting on against Imduli. Can Imduli cut around? No, he will not, because the axes from Singed landing perfectly and perfectly, picking up 3 kills. Meanwhile, Chomp finds himself a free mummy. Wanted to give it a hug, but as a compensation prize, takes up a double buff. And meanwhile, Animosity and Xerion, they're coming back from Chomp. The cleanup crew from Kayle Masters are actually surprisingly well played. Yeah.
I honestly think that was just a misplay by AGL. They did not need to dive them when there was only 3 there. Because there was the tank there and they will take a long time to dive aside from Teemo. But the fact is that they went in under and they focused Teemo and then it took so long for them to kill Olaf in the movie that they just had to pull out. But by that time they'd all taken so much damage. And honestly they could have just siege mode the tower with both Vayne and Thresh being down and then just having Ziggs.
Yeah.
I feel that it was a real misplay and they could have just faced the tower, just taken it and then gotten away. They didn't need to dive and get a kill or anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, didn't really work out well, and Kayle Masters pinged the Baron. Since Jennifer managed to push out bot lane quite well, but here comes the Mega Inferno Bomb, as well as the Super Mega Death Rod coming in, getting Animosity and Exerion extremely low, but they managed to pick up the kill on Baron somehow. And Exerion and Animosity kiting off Resolve, who still does not have Dragon's Descent just yet. Kiatu right in the front line, but Resna with the bandit toss onto the human. Still hasn't used his ultimate, or did use his ultimate, but great kiting from Exerion and Animosity on this Resolve. Meanwhile, Singed going complete ham onto Jinx, able to just land his simple axe and will be able to get onto her. And Kiatu, who managed to survive that little fight despite being in the front line, baiting them in and Resna jumping back onto them, does also pick up the kill on Imduli. So this should be a free inner turret mid lane, a free top inner turret, as well as probably the middle inhib turret. And maybe, hopefully, spawn times are not are in their favor. Should be able to be a middle inhibitor as well.
Yeah, I mean that was just a very, very good team fight from Kayle Masters 420 with Vayne and Thresh pulling back, having to avoid the Shyvana and the Nami, but Amumu coming out in a really good time where he was able to split them up. Force 2 different sides where it was just Shyvana and Nami on one side, up above the Baron, and Jinx, Wukong, and Ziggs on the other side. And it just enabled Vayne and Thresh to be able to peel the one person, which was just the Shyvana.
Meanwhile, during that fight though, Shyvana didn't have Dragon's Descent, so had she had Dragon's Descent, could it have gone differently? Could she have been able to Dragon's Descent onto Vayne and onto Animosity and Xerion and pick up the kill, and maybe snowball the fight differently? As well as, I don't think anyone's aware on the Baron. I don't think AGL were aware of the Baron. The Baron died to, I believe, the red buff from Animosity.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, because Animosity took picked up the kill, but he was above it.
Meanwhile, Valkyrie being caught out of position, Resna landing a good bandage toss, as well as a great death sentence from Exerion, picking up the kill onto a free Valkyrie. Valkyrie being pretty much caught out almost every single time. She's just been attracted to those hooks.
Yeah, I mean, this like Exertion's Hawks have just been amazing this game. They've created a lot of plays, and it's what's gotten Vayne so far ahead. And right now, just with there being an AoE team comp that AGL have right now, him getting these hooks and catching them out, reducing the amount of AoE damage from the CC is very important if they want to take more global objectives.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, Chomp is overextending a little bit. No wards coming from AGL at all into that red buff. So Kiatsu managed to just casually stroll in with Singed and picking up the free kill. Right now, with the whole global presence, now the global map awareness, Kayle Masters have it. And they're having a great job controlling the ward vision. Chomp having no idea where they were, overextends a little bit. Was that probably a miscommunication? Maybe they just never actually... She thought she was generally safe being that far?
I think she generally thought she was safe, because they were just being down in the dragon, and then Chemo and Olaf just come out of nowhere and just catch her off guard, where there wasn't any wards. So I do think it was just a misplay, like she just thought she was safe and misjudged. Yeah.
Yep. So we're hitting 35-minute mark. There's a 10k gold lead for Kayle Masters. Vayne has completed the Guardian Angel, so she's on 6 items right now. She's reached her endgame. I think right now, you could safely say when people say Vayne hitting 6 items, it's more or less game over, GG. Do you think, and I probably see it right now, Kayle Masters are in the driver's seat. They're completely ahead. Just that Baron fight snowballed heavily into their favor. It was so even, and then I think just 1 and 2 team fights went completely favored. Reznar landing a great bandage toss onto Chomp, was overextended a little bit, as followed by the Death Sentence from Zero. So they pick up the kill on Chomp. That's no ADC. Reznar still doesn't he has used his ultimate when they killed Chomp, and it's Curse of the Sad Mummy. So I was right. Valkyrie using Tidal Wave just to disengage, pick up the kill, and the human jumping onto the backline does manage to cycle Animosity, but Animosity and Kiatsu able to sort of kill him just beforehand. And meanwhile, the Dolly gets a kill onto Xerion using the Megaferno bomb, and they pop the Guardian Angel of Animosity. So this is Animosity going really down. I'm Dolly Resolve, pick up another kill. Could they clean up this fight? They're still chasing onto Singe. Kiatsu standing behind the tower, stealthing, taking one single bomb, and I don't think he gave away his position. Resolve chasing onto Reznar, picking up another kill on that. So it's a 4 for 5 exchange. No, 3 for 4 exchange.
Yeah, I mean that was just a complete display. Like they didn't have their AD carry AGL, and they probably wouldn't have wanted to fight. I mean, it's because they got forced into it with the Amumu advantage, but Amumu didn't have his ulti, and that's a lot of CC that they need to Vayne. But then Vayne charged up ahead past the tower and up just towards the right hand side of the nexus turret, and just getting killed by the Shyvana and Ziggs. I mean, that was just, they didn't need to do that. They had the injury pretty much.
Yeah, I thought that was a free tower, and the tower still stands. None of them decided to actually hit the tower and destroy the tower. Again, they thought, because Chomp was down, Kayle Masters thought they had the advantage using Baron buff as well, because Baron buff was just about to expire. They quickly tower dived in. I think they thought in their mind someone would be able to kill the tower just beforehand, and no one did. As well as they didn't have the Curse of Sad Mummy. So again, you said no Muma ultimate. That's a big CC gone. And Animosity, throughout this game, almost half of his deaths have been for over-aggression. He's been very, very aggressive, which is really nice to see, but sometimes he's way past his teammates. So I don't think it's really he needs to be pilled. It's more like he needs to stay with his team rather than try to make up these epic Vayne plays. Because that's, I think, the 3rd time he was overextended, 3rd time he was in the front line, and AGL managed to capitalize on that again. Meanwhile, now and Kayle Masters are considering shoving down the mid lane, but with Ziggs, he'll be able to clear waves quite freely. So the inhib did spawn, and Baron's up in 30 seconds, and Dragon's up in 1 minute and 30. So next team fight should be around Baron buff this time, but without any Baron buff onto Kayle Masters, AGR can do well. Reznar landing an amazing bandage toss. Iron Dolly, who used the satchel charge, trying to get away, it still gets hooked, and Chomp in the backline is trying to get down as much kills as around. The Mega Inferno Bomb and Super Mega Death Rock Comet does not manage to pick up the kill. It's a 4 for 1 exchange, and Reznar with another bandage charge onto Chomp. That's an ace. That's going to be game. 40 seconds death spawns. What a bandage toss.
that was a great bandage toss into Curse of the Sad Mummy from Resina, and then followed by
And there's the surrender vote coming from AGL. Great game, amazing play. Oh wow, that bandage toss to win the game. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed the match, and maybe there'll be more to come. Hopefully, I think Kayle Masters will be playing again, so that's the team we'll be spectating for the next few games. All right, see ya.